Committee. Roll call.
You should see on the flash.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Boyer?
Here.
Mr. Duffy?
Here.
Ms. Martin? Present. Mr. Lesh?
Here.
Mr. McAndrew? Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Vogel?
Present.
Mr. Schuster?
Present.
Mrs. Dixon? Present. 9 present.
Okay, oh, there it is. Okay. Mr. Laffey, would you bring us up to date as to the refinancing and what we broached at the last meeting?
Sir, we have tonight before you, your agenda, tonight we'll have a resolution to approve the advanced refinancing of 2011 Cs. Mr. Ben from the Finance Solutions, Mr. Lansky from Stevens and Lee have brought a summary document that I believe was handed out at the prior meeting as well to kind of discuss some of the future savings that the district can realize and the timeline and some of the cost of issues related to that transaction.
Yeah, and it's exactly what we went through at the last board meeting on the 26th. Mr. Schuster asked for, asked for a breakdown of the cost of issuance. And I did include that, I believe it's in your board packet. So exactly what's in front of you is exactly what we received in the board packet. So it's exactly what we went over at the last board meeting, except with the actual breakdown of the cost of issuance. Those are estimated. It could be a little bit lower than that when all said and done, but I want to be conservative. Net of all fees, it's approximately $1,060,000 over the life net savings to the district. Since we last met last Monday, interest rates actually worked in your favor, including today. So it's actually probably a little bit more than that, probably a little bit worth $1.1 million of net saving. But authorizing it tonight, if the board so choose, would give us the authorization to go ahead and lock that in. If the board does decide to pass the resolution tonight, we'd be looking to lock in those savings on September 19th. So I would be happy to answer any questions that you had about this or anything that you'd like to discuss.
The 1.1 million is over the course of this.
That is correct. So it'd be level savings in every year. You're not extending the term of the debt. You're actually just going from a higher interest rate to a lower interest rate, similar to a mortgage. And it's approximately $90,000 every year over the next, I believe it is 12 years.
And when you talk about the costs of issuance, is that something that we pay up front?
No, that would actually be rolled in. So those savings, those costs of issuance get taken into account and they get amortized over the life. So
Okay.
that's your net savings, so you know you do not.
So the savings take those costs into account?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay, great, thank you.
And the resolution also is the same as we talked about the other evening. The only change that we made to that after our meeting last week, on the old bonds, on the 2011 bonds, Community Bank is the paying agent. They're actually getting out of the business, so we didn't want to appoint them as escrow agent and then have them leave a year from now before the escrow is. So we also added into this resolution, switching that to Fidelity, who's going to be the new paying agent, which makes it a little bit easier. And that deal's only going to be out for another year until the escrow pays off. So that's the only addition that we added in over the course of the last week.
Any questions? Okay, Pat, at this time, I would like to know if you would update us a little bit on the payroll tax for tonight's resolution.
Certainly, yeah. As you know, you've been presented tonight with a resolution to consider and approve the conversion to a payroll tax. The resolution tonight is authorizing the administration and solicitor to prepare a voter referendum for the November election. The Act 1 timeline dictates that that has to be done by September 6th. So that is for your consideration tonight. We've looked over some of the information. We've met with the city. In working with the city and Berkheimer as well to identify what our taxable wage base is, we've come up with a tax rate of 0.793% or 0.00793. So that would be the rate that we would need to levy to become revenue neutral in year one if the conversion was approved. We've compared some data, growth rate of payroll versus growth rate of gross receipts, which is what your business village mercantile is based off of. Over the course of the last 5 years of 2018, which is unaudited, but we've confirmed it with the single tax office back in 2014, the earnings back received by the school district, which are based on the wages and come via Berkheimer, did outpace the current year collections only of the business village mercantile from the data received from the single tax office by 2.41% over a total of 5 years. So it was roughly about 0.48% increase each year ahead of the business village mercantile gross receipt rate. Some of the data that came from Berkheimer had about $1,368 million of taxable wages that Berkheimer felt may be subject to this tax. The single tax office had reviewed it and identified roughly $485 million that would be classified as non-taxable government entities that wouldn't be subject to the tax, leaving a wage base of about $882 million. Again, the resolution is to authorize us to apply to the County Board of Elections for the referendum. And if the taxpayers did approve that in the November election, the school board will have the opportunity to consider the conversion with our December budget effective for the 2020 school year. Calendar.
So we would still have time to ask questions in between that time span on different areas that we would want clarification on.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, we confer with Solicitor Audi that if the referendum is worded in the appropriate way, it leaves that decision up to the school board in December whether the conversion will be approved or not.
So we don't have until December. So we're just asking, we're applying to see if we can put this on a referendum. Now, I've been getting some conflicting information. Now, did Pittsburgh do this or not? Was this ever put on a?
The city of Pittsburgh has done this. The school district.
So this has been, okay, so the district has not. Because I've heard some different information. I'm still unclear. I'm hearing information from a couple different parties. So also, they don't need us to do this referendum in the city, correct? Like, I'm confused.
We confirmed with the PDE's council that the city could take on this transition without the school district.
And does the PDE recommend that we do this, go this route of referendum?
They recommended the referendum, right? If we were to consider further guidelines of the taxpayer relief act in the school code, they would consider a referendum the appropriate way to go.
Let me clarify that, just so there's not any misunderstanding in this room. PDE is not recommending that we do the business go and deployment.
No, I understand, but
They're recommending and they're advising that should we choose to go, we must go through the
route of
process.
referendum, okay.
So they're not actually giving an opinion as to whether it's a better idea or not a better
That's
idea.
absolutely correct.
So my cause of concern, I think any other year other than this year, the BP mercantile tax is something that might be a little bit outdated and be helpful to the business community in this area. That being said, this is probably the worst financial year that we've ever had in the history of the Sprague School District, and we're going to make a proposition to garner $7.1 million from another source for no other reason than it's helpful to the business community and the city wants us to do it. I just feel like, and putting it out to a referendum, I mean, I think that there has to be crystal clear clarity as to what the voters are voting on. They're voting on what? They're voting on applying another tax to a person and taking a tax away from a business. Is that essentially what that is?
No, it would be an employer tax. It would not be an employee tax. If the employer would pay, unlike an EIT, which is the employee tax, this would be an employer tax on their payroll.
So what would it do for the business community in a positive? What's the pitch for us to help?
Not on gross sales.
The thing is, it's on gross sales, so if you sell a car at 80 grand and you have a minimal amount of profit, you're still paying on 80 grand. Like anyone who owns a store, like my wife's family owns a store, their margin is small, but they're paying on everything. That's why the business community hates
But
this.
what's included in income? Is 1099 income included in that?
The 1099 income would not be payroll. So it was, I don't believe 1099 income would. I do have the regulations from Pittsburgh with me. I believe it has to be any commissions, incentives, salaries paid via payroll. I'm not sure if 1099s are included. I apologize.
Well, here's the thing, and I'm confused, Mr. McAndrew's confused, you're not exactly sure, and we're dealing with this. The public at large, I think, is gonna have a big problem with what is this exactly, how will it affect me in my personal interest, in the money that I take home, is it gonna be any different for me? And I think we have to get that clear.
I think that's the work we need to do over the next several months, because I think we have 2 steps to this process.
Yeah, so at this point in time, we're on a timeline here for the referendum.
Right,
However, I don't
unfortunately.
think we've ever had a decent presentation
No, and
about what.
I think that's, I mean, Pat and I have been working diligently to collect information. He's been working with Mr. Bolzoni.
Right.
I do think an opportunity to present that not only to this board, but to the community at large is imperative.
Yeah.
Because I think, Paul, to your point, I'm just gonna keep talking, I'm sorry.
No,
I
no.
think to your point, this is, we have to get this information out there, we have to understand this. Unfortunately, the timeline with Act 1 ties our hands to put this to referendum, which essentially, and that's not necessarily something, I don't want to shirk our responsibility, but that is taking the decision out of our hands. That is putting the decision to the voters. And I think it's our job and the city's job to work together over the next several months to present this fully so that we all understand it, so that the community understands it, and that the voters are making an informed choice.
But not even that though, because it would be, the referendum would be authorizing the board to do it if the board wanted. So it's, we're asking the public to let the board have the choice. So that's even, I know that sounds convoluted, but that's my understanding is correct? Yeah, so it just gives the board an option if the public approves it. So this, and it's the law, but it's silly, so we're voting to ask we're gonna vote to see if the voters want this, and they're going to give us the choice if we want it again. I know that that's really convoluted, but that's the law.
And here's the thing, we're getting information from the tax office who's been collecting it. We know what we're getting from the tax office next year. We know what that's going to be. So while we work our way through this, we don't know exactly what that's going to be. We don't know how it's going to be collected. We don't know how easy it's going to be to transfer in 1 year. We don't know a lot of things that we should know, and we're going to put it out on a referendum to ask the voters to make the decision for us, to make our decision. It's truly perplexing to me that this is even an issue for us right now. We have a lot of other things to be concentrating on, and to risk $7 million, or potentially risk $7 million, for the idea of something that could be helpful, when we just passed alert for any business coming into the city is not going to have to pay any of those taxes for the first 10 years, right? Or some of those taxes are going to, and we're gambling on $7 million for the possible percentage of 0.5% of $70,000, $35,000 difference that may occur if we go to this plan that may or may not work.
Can we talk a little bit about the reason why we have to do this right now in terms of Act 47 in the state, in the city? rather?
Certainly. The guidance we received says that the school district may opt into it while they're within the city, within a municipality that is also in recovery. They state that you must put the referendum out at the election immediately preceding your budget year, which for us would end. The city, I believe, leaves recovery in August of 2020. So this is the time.
And the referendum has to be before the budget year during which this would be.
The only time this could be done is while the city is in recovery.
That is
Yes.
correct, the guidance.
That we know.
No, I'm just making sure that I'm aware that they get out of recovery next year, it becomes a dead issue.
And
It does.
if
That's
the
what I
board
understand.
actually wanted to go ahead and finally adopt it, it would be up to the next school board.
It would be if
It would be in
the
the,
referendum passed, it would be presented to the board in the month of December for January 2020.
So that would be the
The
next
next
school
school
board.
board.
Only 11.
So to follow up on what Katie was saying, I agree, like the voters need to know what they're voting on. And we don't have several months because this is going to go on the November ballot. So we need to get a solid presentation of facts soon, like beginning of October.
To 70,000 people.
Who makes that presentation?
Well, wouldn't the
I
chamber
think
get
that-
involved? I mean,
I think that's a possibility, and I think the city and the district will partner to make that happen. I think certainly we have our own social media, we have Electric City Television. I think we have a lot of vehicles to get this information out, and certain that the newspaper will be devoted to this topic, since they think we widely dismissed it, which we quite clearly did not. But I think we have a lot of opportunities to get this information out there. And I think Pat and I, and I think many of the people we've discussed this with, would be very honest to say there are pros and cons to this. If there was a clear answer, I think we would have stopped this conversation a month ago. I think we, well, I don't think we could have. I think we had to continue to work through this and continue to uncover the information. Because I mean, as recently as Saturday, Pat was saying, hey, I thought of this way of looking at this, and I was considering do you want to talk a little bit about the growth in the?
So, I mean, obviously, we're showing a 5-year comparison of what revenues were growing faster. However, there's been, with the business builders delinquents, there's been a big push to obviously identify some of those delinquent taxes. I mean, just in the last couple of years, there's been a few $1 million per the single tax audit reports that have been identified as delinquent business builders workers' house taxes. Well, now that those are identified, we can expect to see somewhat of that reoccurring as they continue to do business in the city of Scranton. So, from 2014 to 2018, yes, there's a growth, but if you compare 2018's first 8 months to 2019's first 8 months, it's not as steep of an increase or disparity in the increase as a prior 5-year history.
Can I just ask, Mr. Audi, excuse me, is there a time frame, a limited time frame on this resolution, 90 days, it has to be enacted? Could it go into next year's budget or tax budget before you make a decision? Like December, you're looking at kind of a short period of time for this year's budget coming up. If you were to go ahead and have this referendum in place, we didn't have all the information out there by the time this coming budget is up, could it be postponed for a year?
No, it can't, because under the statute, it has to be done while the city is under Act 47. So it cannot extend.
Let me ask this, Attorney Audi, is this a plausibly risky proposition for the school district?
Well, sure, it is, because once you set the rate, you get one more crack at correcting that rate, and then at that point, your rate is set. So depending on how the economy goes and how employment goes in that city, once your rate is set, you can no longer adjust it. So if the economy should spiral down and jobs go down with it, so too with your income that you're getting from that rate. So to me, that's a risk.
Dr. Fine, do you think it's plausibly risky that if we were to go along and change this?
I was raised with the old saying, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, that saying, and the bird in the hand is what we're doing now. I think it is risky because we don't know. We also don't know what the economy will do. The fact that we would be the first school district in Pennsylvania to do this makes it risky from my point of view too.
Thank you.
Can I just make one more statement?
Mr. Laffey, do you think this is plausibly a risky proposition for the school district?
Yes, of course. I mean, we have a wage base of what we feel is taxable, we develop the rate off of that. But I mean, even just like a 2% disparity could, result in, a significant decrease in our current year budget.
So everyone here that deals with the money with the school district thinks it's risky, along with our solicitor. And we're gonna put it out there for the voters to vote on, without all the information, and plausibly do something this year with $7 million, that's risky.
It's not
But
binding, it's not binding. It's a
Right.
a yes gives us more time and gives us more options. A no shuts a door.
Right.
This is the same option like we had to increase the index, so we exceed the cap. Doesn't mean we're happy to do it, but it's an option. I just want to make one more statement. So, of course, this has to be a data-driven decision. We don't have the data. That's the only problem I have, or conflicting data. I hear data from two different sources, three different sources. That's the only problem I have is it has to be data-driven, but we don't have the data. So
But a lot of data did come in our packets. There is, and I think this information is coming to us piecemeal, and it absolutely needs to be delivered in one presentation. We have the example of the tax legislation, regulation, what's the word I'm looking for, from Pittsburgh, how this would be laid out. We have the growth rate comparisons. So I think, we have been building tangible information. Because I agree with you. I mean, the beginning of this conversation all started with, well, the BPM tax is archaic. No one could really tell me why. And I still don't feel like I have a great answer in regard to that, but we do have some other facts and figures that make this, tip the scales both ways. But one of the things I did want to ask about is the BPM rate, is that variable or is that set?
We have 3 rates.
Right.
There's a mercantile retail, mercantile wholesale, and visit brokerage rate.
Right.
So we'd be eliminating the 3 rates and applying one.
But when we talk about the conversion and we only get 2 opportunities to set that rate, are those 3 rates something that can be changed or are they locked in?
I believe they've been locked in. You mean the prior rates, like what we're operating on the current
Right.
rates? Yeah, they're locked.
That was my understanding as well. So, it's the same argument on both sides of that. And that's the thing we're coming up against. You look at one piece of this and you say, well, that's why this isn't a good idea. And then you look and you say, well, the same thing is happening over here. So how does that make the BPM tax more attractive than payroll prep tax or vice versa? You go back and forth.
In a nutshell, if jobs increase and wages increase in the city, there's a benefits if we pass this program, correct?
To be honest with you, I don't know if I can answer that question. As I said before, I think that, their wages historically have grown quicker than the gross receipts. But with the initiatives taken out by the city and the school district to identify delinquencies, it's kind of narrowed that margin in the most recent years.
So here's what bothers me about the premise of this program. We're in our own recovery program, and as everyone realizes, one of the biggest caveats in this program is that we're going to increase real estate taxes substantially for 5 years. I cannot see how that promotes business or wage growth. I think you're going to have a very, very large fence for people to climb over to come to the city of Scranton and open up a business and employ people and enhance this program. I think that the school district, is the biggest obstacle to this program because of the fact that we're going to raise taxes as things stand right now for 5 years. And I can't understand how we can bank on economic growth with this happening. And again, I know if we pass this, it ultimately goes up to the next school board, and quite a few of us here won't be on that board, and it's a daunting task for them to take on, and there's an awful lot of cloudy doubts about this in my, there's so many things. I would love, before we actually start this program, I wish we could have had a productive meeting with city council, with the mayor, with the school board, with all of our expertise and administrators in there, and get some real answers on this. I'm all for helping the city. I'm all for helping city government. That's great. I know we're all in the same pot, but we're in a position now where we can't even help ourselves. And to take on this responsibility, it's a tough one. It really is.
So I just want to clarify the process. The process tonight is to vote to send it to referendum. And that, we're not voting to accept it by any means. Then an informative something, meeting, town hall, whatever, more than one, probably 2 or 3, to inform the taxpayers and ourselves as well of what they're voting on, and then to bring it back to the board at budget time, which will be the new board, to vote yes or no for that. Is that what I'm understanding? Is that the process?
Yes. We'll start out if the wording of the referendum has to be appropriate to then allow the authority of the school board to make the change.
Yeah, if first of all, if the referendum is voted down, then that's the end of this discussion. I would think that we could try to put in, and we have to see if it passes the election board's rules, that we would like to say if appropriate, or give us an opportunity to potentially do it, should the voters pass it with the yes vote.
Attorney Audi, what happens if the voters voted down? Is it that
That's
issue?
it, then it's done, done.
Attorney Audi, in the next few weeks, if, let's say, some of these meetings occur between us and the school and the city, let's say we pass this tonight, we pass this resolution tonight, and in the next few weeks, as I said, we have these meetings, and some troubling concerns really come up. Does this board have the opportunity to stop it? Or is it automatically going to a referendum?
It'll go to a referendum if the people decide to vote on it, even if they decide yes.
No, but I understand that, but I mean, if the people, the voters can be given any type of, like, there was a referendum, the county had
Yeah, nobody understood
put
it.
on. I understand that. And what makes you think that they're gonna understand this one either? I mean, you're asking an awful lot of the electorate. You're asking an awful lot of the electorate to make a very informed decision that people here don't have the information right now to make an informed decision. And it's perplexing to me how we go about this. If after we sat down with the mayor and the council and everything like that, and we all, as a board, got together and said, I don't like it, it doesn't make sense to me. There's nothing we can do. It's already got, it's going to.
To answer your question, I have never seen something that a board or an agency is authorized to take to referendum, rescind it after we go to the election board for the referendum. Never seen it.
So if we pass this tonight, it's a pretty good, it's almost a certain thing that it's going to the voter.
Yeah, without me doing extensive research and seeing if there's any loopholes that I'm not aware of.
I understand.
Without that, on a general basis, it would be going to referendum.
But we still have the opportunity, if the voters vote yes to this, and the new board comes together, to really review it and vote it down.
It is, we would word the referendum to allow for that possibility.
Okay.
So
But then we could still vote it down, the new board, if they choose that they didn't
Yes,
feel
if the
that.
referendum is so worded, but we would know that. The elections office has to approve the wording of the referendum.
Okay.
And they'll look at the statute to see if it's in compliance with the statute.
Okay.
So 3 things I'm going to say. So this discussion was going on since 2016. Why the board has never really been privy to the conversation, I don't know why. But I think passing this tonight starts that discussion, and we can start to see some information. I do think there's a meeting coming up in the near future that if we shoot this down tonight, we don't get that discussion, we don't get that conversation. And I think we'd be leaving an option on the table. One thing I did hear Pat say is that it seems the BPM may be a little flatter than we thought, because we're starting to identify some of these delinquent fees, things such as that. So if we're gonna look past the new collections, the business privilege tax, they're saying it's antiquated because it is starting to flatten out, is that correct?
Well, our initial look took BPM as a total, all right, and we were seeing that was increasing at a greater rate than the per capita wages. In meeting with the city, discussing with Mr. Bolzoni, we pulled out the delinquencies and we looked only at the current year collections as provided by the single tax office. But in seeing some of the delinquencies that they've identified in the past, 2 or 3 years, it is significant dollars. And then knowing that, those businesses now are registered or identified that operate in the city, this could increase current year collections as now that they've been identified.
So it's essentially the exact opposite.
Right.
Well, I'm reading something here I got from the tax collector that I just received as I sat down. And it looks like it took them 7 years from 2005 to 2011, okay, there was constant shortfalls to this new tax, this payroll tax. All right, there was a discrepancy of $3 million the first year. That's the city of Pittsburgh. Okay, they collected $47.8 million, and there was a $3 million shortfall in that collection for the payroll tax. Now, it's fine, the city's pretty much on its feet right now, all right? But for the past many years, as we all know, the city's been flat, okay? It's been behind the 8 ball. And yeah, there's always been a lot of talk at these city council meetings about this, but nothing was never done. And the reason why is because of the fiscal shape that the city's been in. But since they got their sewer landfall and all this other stuff, all right, sure, they're in a better position to say, we'll take the chance, maybe we'll lose a few bucks each year, okay, but yeah, but we need the district to come along with us. Well, we're in that black hole right now. We can't afford this. This is crazy. It's asinine. I've never seen us sit here and have the least amount of information on something, and we're gonna vote to okay the people, or okay a referendum for something we don't even know about?
Well, I think the issue is the timing.
The issue is all about the business people in this town.
We are putting
They're
the
looking,
cart
they're
before
looking
the
for another
horse here.
tax cut, okay, and they don't give a damn about this district. That's what it's all about.
I'm not sure that that's the case.
Well, I think it's very
the
true.
issue here is that we have to put the cart before the horse.
No, I don't think we do. That's
Unfortunately, because
that's-
of the timing.
That's very bad, in my books.
I agree.
Nobody puts
It's
a
very
cart
bad that
before
we're in
a
this
horse.
position, but I didn't write the Act 1
Well,
tax regulations.
you know what? They're Johnny come lately in my book, okay? They had all these years to do it, all right?
And I
All
don't
of a
disagree
sudden-
with you. My
No,
concern is
please.
it seems as though
Please.
these conversations
Sounds like there's
are
some
taking
people that
place.
are looking for a tax break
I'm
on our
trying to
backs.
get the information
And if
out
I
to
was
you.
the general public, I'd never vote in favor of this. You gotta guarantee, like the doctor said, you got a bird in the hand. And that's a good saying, dear. And I go along with you 110%. It's better than 2 in the bush. Because there's nothing in this bush. I guarantee you that. Only for people to make more money around here, they're already making money.
Who's going to collect the tax, Burkheimer?
I believe that's been
Would go
been
to
decided.
bid, wouldn't it?
What's that?
Wouldn't that go to bid? That was my understanding
It
at one
could,
point.
yes. I think we have to be a decision made by the city and school district. Possibly.
Somebody making more money. It's gonna cost. And then every one of the businesses that challenge this, okay, there's gonna be another deal. I guarantee you, it's not well thought out. It hasn't been well discussed. As you said, there's no presentation, as we all said so far. There has been no presentation. We're like fools here with a blank piece of paper. Sure, I'll go there. It's crazy.
Mr. McCarron, I know you've only been in the position for a short period of time, but you are the superintendent. What's your opinion?
I just think at this point in time, I think there's more information needed. And from what we've heard, from the consensus, what we've heard is there's nothing that's saying that, as Katie said before, if we read something and we say, oh, okay, but then on the other end, it's kind of contradicting it. So I can't say that it's something, and having no other district done this, and we're gonna take the lead on this, I'm not really sure that we're in a situation at this time. But
Well, you know who will pay for this? Okay, if there's shortfalls, or if there's any issues in this, the people that are sitting in this room, the people that live right here on this board, we are gonna pay the shortfalls. Okay, just like what's going on today with the recovery plan, these people in the room are gonna pay for it, just like the rest of us. All right, but now we're gonna pay more. Right here it says here, they did a study a few years ago, all right, and that study, what did it say here? Let me find the second page here. That this city had gotten the highest revenues in the state for this business privilege tax, all right, mercantile tax. Now you're gonna throw that away for something you don't even know about? I think that's damn foolish.
Mr. Lesher, are you reading from the letter dated August 8th?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So you're referring to number 8, the Business Privilege Mercantile Tax Collectors Association?
That's correct.
Any other comments?
Just to clarify one more time, the referendum simply allows us the time to present this information, continue to gather facts, present those facts to this board and to this community. It does not tie our hands to make this decision in December.
No, it doesn't, but it doesn't allow us the opportunity to change change our minds on this. Once it's stuck, if we vote to pass this tonight, the wheels start to turn.
On the
The
referendum,
wheels,
but not on the decision
on the
to
referendum,
convert the tax.
to the next step. And if in the meantime, we realize or we rethink the program or we get more information that we don't like, that doesn't favor this program, there's nothing we can do about it.
But in that
It's-
time, we have the opportunity to convey that opinion to the voters,
Well,
thereby perhaps influencing the choice.
You can't get the information to 9 people, how are you gonna get it to 76,000?
you can see how much my information got to the voter.
And on top of that, I mean, we're also allowing propaganda to pop in. If the businesses like this and they get together and start to support it, they could pitch this favorably however they want. Numbers are written to the number keeper, and that's the way this is going. I'm not interested in passing the buck to the voters, nor am I interested in passing it to another board. That's been done to me. I've been on this board for 4.5 years now, it feels like 40, and a lot of things have been passed to us. I'm not willing to pass it to somebody else, and if people are going to be upset by the decision that I make tonight, because I think it's in the best interest of every single person in the city to not do this, then they're going to be upset. But this is not the right thing to do.
So I'm just going to say, if we move forward with the referendum, it allows us to explore this option. We have a chance to say no in the end.
We're going to explore it. There's still a chance to say no right now.
See, Tom, I disagree with you. If we vote, we don't have another opportunity. We're done. If we vote, then this board is done. We've done what we can do. If we pass this resolution tonight, then there's no retreating it from it by us. If the voters can take care of it and reject it, maybe. The new board maybe, but this board can't. This board can't. And what bothers me is the high salary people here, the big shots, the administrators here, that have more information and knowledge and expertise than all of us, are against it. Dr. Finan has spoken against it. Mr. McKiernan has spoken against it, and Attorney Audi is not too thrilled with it.
But a referendum will put it in the people's hands. For
I
the people
understand that.
to decide if they want to hear more.
I understand that.
And then the board always has an opportunity.
I'd like to just go on record, though. I didn't really say I was against it. I think you know what you're getting from the BP Merc tax.
Bird in the hand.
Yeah, bird in hand. My issue is, as a board and in recovery, as Mr. Lesh just said, we don't have a lot of extra dollars to fall back on. If we don't collect that $7.2 million, where will we get that money for the next budget year? That's my concern, okay? I know that we know what we're getting from the BP Merck now. And a lot of work has been done, believe me. Pat, Katie have done a lot of work on this. Mr. Audi's done work, we've looked at it. I just think it's not as clear as it needs to be when you're sitting on a board trying to make this kind of decision.
Would there be any sense in tabling this until the next week?
You can't, because you don't have the time frame. The time frame is dictated by the law, which is the conversion of a tax, and under Act 1, the conversion requires a referendum. So the problem is, and because it has to be before your budget, passing of a budget, it has to be done now at the November election. We looked at all that. We thought we could wait till April rather, the next election. We can't. It has to be done now. And so that's the time frame. I think it's unfortunate that this board has been placed in that little box of time. And I say this with due respect to everyone, but the city is coming out of recovery. We are going into recovery. I mean, we are just at the beginning stages of that. If that's the exit plan, it's very hard for someone going into recovery to look at a tax the same way. The other problem, I think, is the name of the tax, to be very honest with you. It's called payroll tax. What do people think? Oh, you're going to tax my payroll again. Well, it's not the individual's payroll. It's the payroll of the business. That's a hard sell for people to understand when they hear the term payroll. What do they think? Another tax on my payroll. So I think there are some issues that you are facing that might be called a little unfair because the timing is so difficult at this point. But you know, I just know that you cannot afford to lose $7.2 million. You can't afford to lose $100,000.
This is already, though, a live subject with the voters. If we choose not to give them their ability to vote on it, we're just going to look like, how do you want to say it? You don't care, or, you know, I mean, it's, you're at the point right now, my opinion is, I voted to go ahead and go into the recovery with the idea of the next board and everybody doing what they can do. And it kind of goes down the same lines that at this point in time, you're going to have, my opinion is, you're going to have to vote to get the information, to make the decision for the new board and the new people and the voters to decide whether this goes forward or not. And I mean, that's the only way I see it. I might be wrong, but
I hate to disagree with you, Ken, but you know what, I'll tell you, you're doing the voters a favor by not putting them in this predicament. Okay, it's pretty clear when you got experts like you said here tonight that really can't put their 100% behind this, okay? And as far as I got a few doubting Thomases, I'm gonna hold back a little bit.
I have a lot of doubts on this.
Then I certainly wouldn't put it in the voters' hands. If I didn't have the confidence myself, I certainly wouldn't vote with the voters would, no, I wouldn't do this. I mean, I read this thing and I can't believe it. What happened in Pittsburgh, all right, and the revenue that they lost the first year, and it took them 11 years. Now, Doctor, you have a 5-year plan ahead of you, okay? And you're going to be looking to this new board to do a lot of inventive things, all right? Now, believe me, in my 20 years here, I've done a lot of inventive things. Whether the paper likes it or not, I have. okay? But let me say this, going forward, this is not gonna help that new board. I'm sorry, it's gonna put them further. I think we have one of the new board members here tonight. Sarah, right? Sarah, let me just tell you, sweetheart, don't go any further in that black hole. And be careful, because you know the state is not our friend here, all right? And believe it or not, as this plan goes forward, and I know the doctor can't speak for the state, even though she works for the state, she doesn't speak for them, all right? They are not gonna be the cavalry, all right? The people that are in this audience are gonna be your cavalry. They're the ones that are gonna save your day, all right? Because it's gonna be on the backs of the people in this city that are gonna save this school district. Not the state and not this plan, that's for sure.
Okay. Anything else on the agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay. Are we gonna go right into the board meeting?
Yes.
Ready? A call to order tonight, Tuesday, September 3rd, 2019 board meeting at the Electric City Academy. We've already stood for the pledge. Do we call roll call again, Virginia?
I will, if you'd like.
Go ahead.
Mr. Worthly,
Here.
Mr. Duffy,
Present.
Mr. Martin,
Present.
Mr. Lesh,
Here.
Mr. McAndrew,
President.
Mr. Norton.
Yes.
Mr. Opel,
Present.
Mr. Schuster,
Present.
Mrs. Dixon,
Present.
9 present.
You're allowed to come over here. You're allowed.
Yes, you can take that.
Katie, tell her she's allowed, okay? She's gonna be one of your new disciples.
Well, I would have been happy to share the letter with her on August 8th when we received it.
Executive sessions were held on Wednesday, July 10th, Monday, August 26th, and this evening to discuss litigation, employee discipline negotiation, special education settlements, personnel and staffing. And I think I should announce the addition of B9, 10, 11 to the agenda. If anyone needs a copy, I'll be happy to give them. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Virginia. Solicitor, attorney.
There's one more under personnel. There's an addition under personnel. Sorry about that.
We do have an addition of the point for the person.
Okay.
Yes.
Attorney Audi, solicitor's report.
I have no report this evening.
Thank you. Mr. McTiernan?
Good evening, everyone. I will be brief, but this is a report really to say thank you to a lot of people. So it's been a great start to the school year, I have to say. I really feel that positive vibe when I was out in all the buildings. The first thing I want to do is thank the board and Dr. Finan for putting a team together to help us get up and running. The team has been great. By team, I mean the administration team and all of the people at the administration building that don't get recognized. That includes the clerks, the maintenance, everybody that really stepped up during this time of transition. I want to thank the principals for all of their work in getting the buildings ready. All of our maintenance staff that worked tirelessly. Our buildings look great. I was in every building in the start of the school year. All of our staff members as we begin the year. Again, I can't say enough. The buildings look great, classrooms look great. I especially want to thank our Armstrong staff in the limited time that they had to get the building ready, all of Armstrong. They did a great job. They stepped up. I was over there for 3 straight days in a row, despite the building up until the last minute not being ready. You know, they were willing to do whatever it takes. So I want to thank all the teachers who, up until the last minute, were putting things together and putting their rooms together. So I want to give a shout out to them, along with all of them, but especially Armstrong staff. There are some people that I'd like to recognize who helped with the Armstrong project, Scranton Electric. And again, I apologize if I'm missing anybody, but these are the people that I was working with and Mr. Doherty was working with tirelessly who got us ready to go. Scranton Electric, Harold Newell, which is Mike Scoff and his team, Jeff Scurillo, which is damage control, and Rocco DePietro from our environmental professional. So again, that's just a limited amount of people. Mr. Laffey, I can't thank him enough. Mr. Doherty in our buildings, inside and out. Mr. Kelly, I can go on and on and on, but again, I want to say thank you to everybody that got us up and running, and I really felt like it was a good start to the year. So thank you all, for all of you for putting the team together to help make it happen.
Thank you.
Director Grunwald.
Okay, I have a few things for PSBA. The first is, you've all received this information in your emails, but the Special Education Funding Commission will be revived. They have held their first session, I believe, just in the last week or so. There are two, Senator Pat Brown and Representative Kurt Sony, I'm not sure, and I need to clarify that. Two Republicans serve on that committee, so I think it's wonderful to see two Republican stakeholders recognizing the issues we face in our funding. And they will be assessing the formula based on testimony of various stakeholders. One question I did have, because it is something that has come through in our newsletters, I've seen it on social media, it's come up in a conversation some time ago at the Career Technology Center, is the vaping situation. Can we at some point learn a little bit about how we are addressing that situation? And there is a juuling, vaping, and e-cigarettes webinar on PSBA that I believe is geared toward board members. So I would certainly encourage everyone to take a look at that. It's an issue that seems to be becoming very, very serious and more and more so every day. So if we can be updated on how we're addressing that, that would be wonderful. And then I also believe Ms. Boland is going to talk later about something that came to our attention that was shared on the American Federation of Teachers Facebook page. I asked Virginia to print some information for you tonight, and it is a film narrated by Matt Damon about the struggles that public education is facing right now, and especially in light of charter schools. And I think Ms. Boland can probably give you a little bit more information, but we're hoping we can schedule a time to screen the film. So if you have any questions about it, when you have a chance to look over the information, send them my way. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, the board welcomes public comment. The speaker will be allowed 3 minutes to speak. Union officials will be allowed 4 minutes, and your time may not be passed to any speaker. When your time is up, we kindly ask that you finish your sentence or wrap it up. In order to maintain respect for all points of view, the board requests no yelling from the audience, no bullying or other form of support or non-support to be used. The board will not tolerate derogatory remarks or personal attacks against any board member, administrator, or any person. This is the time for you to publicly air your comment. Debate and dialogue is discouraged at this time. Rosemary Boland.
Thank you, Mrs. President. I would like to address the board, as Director Del Mar just said, about a film that has come to our attention from the AFT. The AFT did not produce the film, but it's recommended viewing of the film. It's called Backpack Full of Money. And I've seen the trailer for it, and I think it would be worthwhile for all of us to join forces and present it to the citizens of Scranton, plus actually for ourselves, because I don't think anybody has a clue what this is all about when we're talking about charter schools. We're talking about millions and millions of dollars being pulled out of public schools. And it's a deliberate plan. This isn't an accident. It's not something that somebody just dreamt up yesterday. This is a planned attack on public education. And the day of the hearings here in Scranton, Mr. Laffey indicated that in the budget this year, we are putting in, that correctly, $6.2 million is what leaves Scranton School District to go to charters. It's a business and it's profitable. And if we need $7 million, so it's mercantile, we certainly could use the 6.2 that's going out the window to these charter schools. And one of the parts of the video that I was watching, just the trailer, one of the people who run a private school, a charter, said, you know, if you spank the kids the right way, it's a good thing. Well, the Scranton School District, and I would guess every school district around here, we don't do that. It's gone. Corporal punishment is out. So when you send your child to a charter school, they set the rules. They don't follow any of the rules we follow. And so it's just up for grabs. You know there was one in the Poconos. You know what it did to the Pocono Mountain School District, and you know how long it took that school district to get rid of that charter up there. It was a disgrace. And so we've got to wake up. It's here, and we've got to address it. If the legislation had passed in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania regarding charter schools this past term, there would be no Philadelphia school district right now. The entire district would have been in charter. That's how perilous this is. And so I'm asking this board to join forces with us, and let's present this to the community as a community service. I think certainly we could use Scranton High School. The film does have a cost to it, but we're going to have that absorbed by AFT. And so I'm hopeful that we can get the public out to and say to everybody, let's bring the kids back to the Scranton School District where they belong. And I'm asking for your help and endorsement of the project. And I think we can do a perfect job in making this something that everybody in Scranton should be able to understand. And actually around us. Around us. So I want to thank Greg Warren because she's been emailing me back and forth, working on this thing, and we're trying to make this something that's a positive thing, not a political thing, a positive thing. I'd like to get that $6.2 million back, and then some, with your help. So if you're willing to come out, watch the video some night, I'm going to supply cake. I spoke to Mark and Dr. Feynman, I would do that, and I will. A couple of businesses in Southside, just anyway. So please let's figure this out together. I'd like to book the film sooner than later, because the sooner we get these kids back here, the better. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ms. Wong. Can I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes of July 10th? That ends our public speaking. We have one speaker tonight. May I have a motion to approve?
There are several other parents here, I think, who wanted to publicly comment. Were we supposed to sign up somewhere to do so ahead of time?
Can they still sign up?
Yeah, I don't see any problem with them signing and having their comment.
Yeah, you're supposed to sign when you come in. Here's the sign-in sheet.
Okay.
Pass that down. Pass it down.
I'll sit down now.
Are there other parents here that would like to speak? We have Ms. Deborah Giorgetti.
Yeah. So hi, my name is Deborah Giorgetti. I have 4 children who have actually had a long history of attending Scranton Public Schools, and ironically, I'm here tonight for the first board meeting ever in my life to talk about my child who is now at All Saints Academy. So about midway through the school year last year, I pulled my child out of South because of some deteriorating conditions, partly, and also partly because of the decision you have made to split the kids that are going there for high school, and he attends All Saints now. I'm here tonight with, I thought a couple of other, but it looks like only maybe one other parent, to talk about the current busing situation. Apparently, This is my first full year there. The number of buses that go to All Saints was cut from 4 to 2. The kids are now spending an extraordinarily long amount of time on the bus. The first day that my son came home from school, he was on the bus for 1 hour and 7 minutes. We live 10 minutes from All Saints Academy. Now, I haven't been able to get him back on the bus since that time, and my even bigger issue is that I was supposed to have a kindergartner on that bus. And I just do not think that it's appropriate to put a 5-year-old who's in their first full year of school on a school bus for 1 hour and 7 minutes for a trip to somewhere that's 10 minutes from their home. Several of the parents have expressed concern. We've tried to call down to the director of transportation, who won't take any of our calls. And so we're sort of bringing our argument here tonight so that hopefully we can get in touch with the proper people and have this situation addressed.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Megan Kelly. I'm also a parent at All Saints, and I'm here for the same reason, but I do want to add just a bit more information. My child has been going there for 6 years, and we live in South Scranton, and it's always been tops a half-hour bus ride. This year, it's turned into an hour and 10-minute bus ride each way. I did finally get a return phone call this afternoon from the Director of Transportation. And what she told me was that she felt very, very sorry for the situation. It was out of her hands. That it was their fault. And then she started mentioning the recovery plans, so I'm assuming she means the state. I don't know who they is. But she said it was their fault that the buses were taking so long. There was nothing she could do about it. And she was told that they, whoever the they is, said up to an hour and a half bus ride is acceptable for a child of an elementary school age to go across town. So honestly, I think what we're looking for is just an answer as to why this is occurring, if there's anything we can do about it, because if it's worked fine for 6 years, why the sudden change?
Thank you.
Is that it, Ms. Black?
That's it.
Sorry about that. Do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes of July 10th, 2019?
Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Ms. Gilmartin?
Yes.
Mr. Lesh?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton? Mr. Vogel?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
9 affirmative.
We have the consent agenda in front of us. Are we all okay with the consent agenda as it stands?
I'd like to remove item B1, please.
Could we also pull D1 and E2, please?
And also B2.
Hold on. B1,
B1, B2, D1, E2.
did you say B2?
B1 and 2. And then B1, E2.
D1?
B1, B2.
I just want to get them out. D1, Tom? D1?
D1.
So just for the record, I just want to go over B1, B2, D like David, and E2 are being removed.
Yes. Okay, so for the record, we have B as in boy, 1, B and 2, D as in David, 1, E as in Edward, 2. Correct? Do I have a motion to approve the items on the remainder of the consent agenda?
Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Ms. Gilmartin?
Yes.
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Vogel?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
9 affirmative.
Okay, so now we're in budget and finance, so Director Pople, before you take over, you're going to add B1 and B2 on yours?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Okay, to the members of the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton, it is a recommendation to the Budget and Finance Committee that the following resolution be considered. the list of bill payments in accordance with the bill payment approval policy be approved as per attached. I move that orders be drawn upon the treasury as follows. September 3rd, 2019, of the amount of $336,316.33 respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question?
The reason I had this removed is I believe Coast Tire appears on the bill list. Although it's not the store that I work in, nor was I involved in the sale, I just want a clarification as to should I abstain from this because I work for that company?
I would abstain. I don't think you technically have to, but we also consider appearance, and so I would abstain.
That's why I brought it up.
Roll call?
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Abstain.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
8 affirmative, 1 abstention, motion passes.
Okay. To the members of the Board of Directors of the City of Scranton, the School District of the City of Scranton, is a recommendation of the Budget and Finance Committee that the following resolution be considered. The summer bill payment as per the bill payment approval policy for the period ended September 3rd, 2019 be approved as per attached. Respectfully submitted.
Second? Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question?
So on the question, I'm going to be abstaining from this as well, similar to Mr. Duffy, my employment. I do not have anything to do with the money associated with this, but appearance.
Okay. Roll call?
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Abstain.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
8 affirmative, 1 abstention, motion passes.
To the members of the Board of the School Directors of the City of Scranton, the Budget and Finance Committee presents the following resolution for your approval. Whereas it is recommended for approval the Plan Concave project refinancing related to the following general obligation bonds to be forwarded to the Pennsylvania Department of Education for review and approval. General obligation bonds Series A of 2018, General Obligation Bond Series EE of 2017, General Obligation Bond Serial D of 2017, General Obligation Bond Series C of 2017, General Obligation Bond Series B of 2017, General Obligation Bond Series B of 2016, General Obligation Bond Series A of 2016, General Obligation Bond Series A of 2015. Therefore be resolved, the Scranton School Board hereby approves the submission of documents as presented, respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
9 affirmative.
To the members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, it is the recommendation of the Budget and Finance Committee that the following is approved. Be it resolved that the Scranton School Board approves this motion authorizing the adoption by the Board of School Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton of a resolution authorizing the assurance of its general obligation bond for the purpose of funding a project consisting of 1, refunding a portion of the school district outstanding general obligation bonds Series C of 2011, and 2, paying the cost and expenses of issuance of the bond, all as more fully described in the attached complete text of the resolution. Respectfully submitted.
Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question?
On the question, before we take it forward, is all the fees here are competitive, comparable to other deals?
Super low. Compared to other.
Roll call?
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
9 affirmative.
To the members of the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton, to the members of the Board of Directors of the Scranton School District, whereas tax appeals have been received from the Board of Assessment Appeals for the following properties: owners, Citibank, property address 101 Wyoming Avenue, map 15607010019. Owner PNC Bank, address 1900 Main Avenue, map number 13412080021. Owner Gary's, 320 Meadow Avenue, that's the property address, and the map is 15717040041. The next one is Garrity's, again, property address of 700-702 Main Avenue, map number 15609040015. Owner Garrity's Warehouse, property address North-South Road, map number 1440806005502. And whereas the Board of Assessment Appeals has reached the proposed settlements of the properties, and whereas the Scranton School Board of Directors wishes to contest the proposed settlement accounts, and whereas to do so will require the district to retain an appraiser to evaluate each property. Therefore, be it resolved, the Scranton School Board of Directors authorizes district officials to retain an appraiser to contest above-mentioned tax assessment appeal. Respectfully submitted.
Second? Do I have a second?
Second.
Question? Roll call?
Mr. Pople?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Ms. Gilmartin?
Yes.
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
9 affirmative.
To the members of the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton, to the members of the Board Districts of the City of the Scranton School District, whereas tax appeals have been received from the Board of Assessment Appeals for the following properties. Owner Kevin Karsnack, property address 18 Conroy Street, map number, oh this is small, 15719001008. New real estate assessment of $9,968 $9,968, and effective date of January 1st of 2019. And again, Kevin Karsnack, 18 Conroy Avenue, map number 15719001008. New real estate assessment of $14,373, effective date of January 1st of 2018. Therefore, be it resolved that the Scranton School Board of Directors approve the new property assessment as negotiated between all parties involved. Respectfully submitted.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Question?
What is the current value of this property?
I believe the fair market value of the property was $94,000. That's the fair market value. The assessment, I believe, was $20,000.
I think it was around 20,000.
That sounds right.
The assessment amount that I conferred this with Attorney Barbetta is based off of the $94,000 fair market value.
Roll call?
And I just want to emphasize, this, I'm reading this correctly, that this is retroactive.
Correct.
So 1/1/2018.
It sets the rate for 2018 at $14,373, the 19 rate at $9,968.
So this individual is being reimbursed?
I don't know the status of the,
It's in negotiation.
I think I am done, thanks. Roll call?
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Ms. Gilmartin?
No.
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Pople?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
8 affirmative, 1 negative, motion passes.
To the members of the Board of Directors of the Scranton, of the School District of the City of Scranton, whereas the Scranton School District has discussed a possible conversion from mercantile/business tax to a payroll tax for the school district, for the Scranton School District, and whereas through consultation with the Pennsylvania Department of Education Office of Chief Counsel, it has been determined that the Scranton School District has the authority to per section 689 of the school code to convert from a mercantile/business privilege tax to a payroll tax. And whereas in addition to Section 689 of the school code and provisions of the Local Tax Enabling Act, any changes to the tax levied by a school district must include consideration of the Taxpayer Relief Act, Act 1. And whereas Section 333, Act 1 states that a school board may not levy a tax for the support of the public schools which was not levied in the 2005-2006 fiscal year unless the board obtains the voter approval through public referendum and the election immediately preceding the start of the school district fiscal year in which the proposed tax would take effect. And whereas Section 689 restricts the tax rate that may be imposed at a rate not to exceed a rate sufficient to produce revenues equal to revenues collected from the levy of a mercantile/business privilege tax in the preceding fiscal year or revenue neutral. Therefore, be it resolved that the Scranton School Board of Directors approves district administration and solicitor to prepare a referendum to be submitted to the County Board of Elections by September 6, 2019, due date at a rate of 0.793%. Respectfully submitted.
Do I have a second
Second.
on the question?
So I want to say that all of the arguments against the payroll tax are good ones. Director Duffy, Director Lesh, our administration are making excellent points that we don't know enough. But I'm not voting tonight on whether or not I'm in favor of a payroll tax because I don't know whether or not I am because I don't have the information. What I am voting on is getting more time. We have the option, if this passes, if this resolution passes, we have the option to make moves in the future. And if it doesn't pass, we don't have any options. So this isn't binding in any way, shape, or form to a conversion. It just gives us time. So I just wanted to get that out there so that people understand where I'm coming from.
I think it gives time for propaganda and the balls to move in a direction that I feel like the business community wants. I think tonight this is a vote against for businesses versus our kids, and I'm in favor of our kids.
I mean, I'm in favor of our kids too, BJ. Come on.
Hey,
Yeah,
I'm sure you are, but this vote right here will be risky, and it's been said by the state, it's been said by our solicitor, it's been said by our own people that work here. That's a potential risk that we're going to kick the ball down the road for the voters and other boards to make amends for. And it's just not something I'm willing to do, respectfully.
This vote tonight has nothing to do with the eventual outcome.
It sure does.
That's what you just clarified, Mr. Borthwick. That's what has transpired in this discussion this evening. If this fails, then we are done. If this passes, we have the opportunity to educate ourselves, to educate the community. And as Mr. Borthwick said, my mind's not made up either. I go back and forth on this all the time. There are lots of pros, lots of cons. The fear piece of it is overwhelming, and I don't want to take a risk on behalf of the district. And yet, I think we have a responsibility to be partners to this city and at least allow the conversation to play out. But one of the things I did want to clarify, Mr. Laffey, is the rate. The 0.793 is our portion of the rate.
That is our rate, the Scranton School District rate.
So the city
would have to determine what their own rate was.
And we're thinking that that is around 2.58?
I was going to say 2.85.
Okay. One of
2.285, 2.258, I don't have that.
One of those. But that brings us to around the 1% mark, give or take. And that's the total rate that would be levied.
By both parties involved.
Okay.
But our share would be the
0.793. Thank you.
One thing before the vote, I just wanted to say one more thing. That one of our administrators have advocated a yes vote for this. Roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry. Roll call.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
No.
Ms. Gilmartin?
Yes.
Mr. Lush?
No.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Pople?
No.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
6 affirmative, 3 negative, motion passes.
Education, D1, Director Norton.
The members of the board, excuse me, the members of the board of school directors in the city of Scranton recommended the recommendation of the acting assistant superintendent and the education committee that the following is approved. Whereas it is desired to place student teachers observing enrollment in Drexel University in appropriate locations where by student teachers may gain practical teaching and experience, and whereas the governing board of the district is authorized to enter into an agreement with the university and college accredited by the State Board of Education as a teacher education institution to provide teaching experience through the student teaching and observation, and therefore be it resolved that the Scranton School Board hereby approves a memorandum of understanding agreement with Drexel University School of Education for the terms and conditions of the attachment at the rate to be determined.
Do I have a second
Second.
on the question?
I just don't remember this happening before. Is this a new agreement?
This is a new agreement, and Mr. Gentilesa can explain more, but yes, this is a new agreement.
I mean, this seems like a positive thing.
Yeah, we have agreements with local colleges, and from what I recall, I don't know if we have one in place with Drexel since I've been around. So they do have a youngster that wants to come, I believe, lives in the area, wants to come and do teaching. So they just wanted to do an agreement, memorandum of understanding on their behalf, and they drafted one, an example of one, what they did, and I believe it was in your packet.
Yes.
And they have different rates, and the rate that I believe that they're going to contribute is $150 for a student to come in and contribute to the Scranton School District, and we'll turn that over to Mr. Lapp.
Thank you.
I think, don't we share this with the SFT?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just so you know.
It's between, it's given, part of that money goes to scholarships at the end of the year for our students.
And is this a good rate? Is this? Good. Thank you.
Roll call?
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Ms. Gilmartin?
Yes.
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Pople?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
9 affirmative.
Mr. Lush, we'll start with E2, which was pulled from the consent. Oh, I'm sorry.
E1?
Did I get that wrong? I circled E2.
Me too.
I thought it was pulled out.
No, E2.
E2 is correct.
I'm sorry. It's okay. We'll let you go.
E2, it's not even on.
It was in your,
It was under consent.
The members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, the Acting Assistant Superintendent of Schools, and the Operation Committee recommends the following resolution for your consideration. Whereas the School District of the City of Scranton recognizes the need to provide parking for all its employees at Northeast Intermediate School, and whereas in order to fulfill this need, the Board of Directors wishes to enter into a lease agreement with LAZ Parking at Regional Hospital of Scranton to rent 51 parking spaces at the rate of $20 per space per month for 9.5 months, commencing on September 4th, 2019, and ending in June 16, 2020, at the cost of $1,020 per month. And now therefore be it resolved that the Scranton School Board of Directors authorize the superintendent to sign the attached lease agreement with LAZ Parking to lease these 51 parking spaces after the solicitor has fully reviewed and approved such lease. Respectfully submitted.
Do I have a second? Question?
This seems far more favorable than our agreement.
Yes.
And this, I am understanding it correctly, that this replaces the agreement with Cooper's because the Bethel agreement was approved under consent agenda.
Correct. So this is a replacement, so we actually are up one. So we went from 75 to 76. I informed you during the work session of the price change with Cooper's and the amount of spaces, 20 spaces less what they were giving. Regional Hospital parking garage stepped up. They're giving us 51 spots. They will mark it off. Our teachers will have badges that they can swipe in and out. And so I think it's wonderful, and I want to thank them for stepping up.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate it.
And thank you to whomever.
That would be the operations department. That would be Mr. Kelly, who was running back
Way
and
to go,
forth.
operations
Yes.
department.
Thank you for spearheading that. That was great.
Yes.
This is great
So,
stuff.
It worked out well.
So it's a lot less claims that we're paying Cooper.
Yes.
So I'd like to thank Katie.
That's why I pulled it, so you could make that joke.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I've been here all week.
So I would like to thank Director Gilmartin for pulling this so we could talk about it a little. And thank you, Operations Department, Mr. Doherty, Mr. Kelly. I think it's great. It seems like we've saved about $48,000 a year on this. So great job, guys.
As a former member of the Parking Authority, this is a great deal on parking space.
And I would also like to publicly thank Bethel, because they have been supportive. They
Yes,
haven't
of
raised,
course.
they haven't taken spots away from us. They haven't raised the space, the rent, I guess, per space. So I would like to thank them publicly also.
And with this, we asked for $25 a space, right? They gave
At
us
Regional?
25, yeah, or gave us 20.
They give us 20. I don't think we offered anything. I think we. I believe, Mr. Kelly, I don't want to speak for you, but I believe you went up and asked for $20.
Yeah, I asked for, I said, I was told to go to 25 max and.
Okay.
So,
Settled it.
we started it all.
Yeah.
Great job. Roll call?
Ms. Gilmartin?
Yes.
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Pople?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
9 affirmative.
Members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, the Superintendent and the Buildings and Grounds Committee presents the following resolution for your consideration. Be it resolved that the Scranton School Board hereby approve the Palmo Group Architects and Engineers to provide a proposal for a Northeast Intermediate School for the following. Number one, evaluate the conditions of the porticos over the East Gibson Street entrances. Number two, provide a report outlining visual evaluations and recommendations. Number three, provide details for future architectural drawings and/or bid documents. The proposal calls for a total cost not to exceed $4,000. A separate proposal for design and construction bid can be offered once structural recommendations are provided. I so move.
Second.
On the question?
On the question, we were thinking about making this the main entrance. Is that something I recall being said?
Yes. Yeah, there was a project that you had approved months ago to move the main entrance of the school to East Gibson Street, and in the course of that project, they found some significant structural deficits above the portico.
Yeah, looking at that, there's no question we have to take some action on this. Do we need to use this as the main entrance though?
No, we're back to using the other one as the main entrance.
Okay, thank you, that answered my question.
Roll call?
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Pople?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Ms. Gilmartin?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
9 affirmative.
Group 5, members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton. The Buildings and Grounds Committee presents the following resolution for your consideration. Be it resolved that the abatement of asbestos Northeast Intermediate School be given to Little Environment at the cost of $4,450. Respectfully submitted.
Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question? Roll call.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Pople? Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
9 affirmative.
Director Borthwick.
So, members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, it's the recommendation of the Superintendent and the Personnel Committee that the attached list of appointments, assignments, resignations, and leaves of absences is approved. Appointments are effective upon receipt of proper criminal records, immigration, medical, and child abuse reports. Salaries are in accordance with the collective bargaining agreements. Respectfully submitted.
On the question?
Do you want to clarify the position that's been added?
We talked about it earlier in the meeting, but yeah, we can just add, speak to that.
Yes, on the personnel report, what has been added is acting principal at ECA, and that's it's Terry Wellen.
Do I have a second?
Yes.
Do I, on the question? Oh, did I say that already? I said it, I'm sorry. Roll call?
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Pople?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
9 affirmative.
Director Joe Martin?
Members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, it is the recommendation of the Superintendent and the Policy Committee that the following resolution be approved. Whereas the following policies 004, 201, 204, 208, and 209, first read, have been revised by the Pennsylvania School Board Associations, PSBA, and policy number 004, membership, policy 201, admission of students, policy 204, attendance, policy 208, withdrawal from school, policy 209, health examination screening. Whereas the following board operating guidelines, BOG 004, BOG 0, and 004, BOG 4, first read, have been revised by the Pennsylvania School Board Associations, PSBA, and Board Operating Guideline number 004 BOG 0, Statement of Financial Interest, 004 BOG 4, Board of School Directors Vacancy Application Form. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scranton School Board hereby approves as a first read revision of policy numbers 004, 201, 204, 208, 209, and Board Operating Guidelines 004 BOG 0 and 004 BOG 4, recommended by the Pennsylvania School Board Association, PSBA. Respectfully submitted.
Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question?
I would just like to point out that Mr. Gentilezza and I did work on that 004 BOG 4 as we discussed in the work session, and melded the recommendations from PSBA and
That one, we do have a current board applicant, we did just revise it recently, 004 BOG 2, and PSBA's was 004 BOG 4, and we tweaked our current one a little bit with some of the things that we talked about, and we put in our current one. If you like that current one, we will just take out the revision from PSBA and just go with the tweaks that we did in addition to the one that's in current place.
And then at some point, do we need to clarify the number? Or we need, there was a confusion between 2 and 4.
There was a confusion between the numbers because we currently had it as BOG 004 BOG 4, or BOG 2, and they have BOG 4. So, I mean, I can take a look at that, make sure we don't already have something in place for that. So if you agree with the one I did revise, we pull that one out and use our current.
Thank you.
And we pulled out 808, the food
Yes,
service
right.
one from.
That came off here from the work session.
Roll call?
Mr. Mr. Pople?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton? Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
9 affirmative.
Do you have anything under new business?
I have just two quick things. I just wanted to reiterate the issues with the busing. I received a call today as well about the children being on the bus for well over an hour. I think that that's something that I think we need more information on maybe, or something that if we can find some kind of solution. I know that we're trying to thread a needle here, and I feel for the frustrations of the parents on this one. But we're trying to save some money on busing, but not have our kids sitting 2 extra hours a day or more on the bus to go a few miles. So I think that we have to have a lot more discussion on that, hopefully, and get some answers. And secondly, I just wanted to bring up, and obviously the new interim representative from our maintenance is doing a good job. He's done something tonight that probably would pay for most of his salary for the entire year. But a few people from that union have reached out to me and asked about the process that we went through in appointing him was the correct process. And I just wanted to make sure that in all of the happenings of the meeting last month, it was something that I overlooked, that a couple of union members from that union made it very clear to me that they weren't happy with. But I was kind of going with the opinion of Dr. Finan and the recommendations that were made there. But I want to make sure that we didn't do anything to hurt anyone's bidding rights or union rights or the way that filtered through. I just wanted to bring that up, or maybe bring it up as a talking point for our next work session. So it's nothing that we have to talk about right now, but I just wanted something to be brought up so we can talk about it. Thank you.
I would just like to interject before I have a motion to adjourn, to extend my thank you to everyone as well. I think I speak for all of us on the board. Working together, we're certainly making progress, and I'm looking forward to continue working in this fashion. Do I have a motion to adjourn?